What's up, rockers? Welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast, where we geek out on all things rock and roll. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Leave us your likes and comments. You can also follow us on Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, Instagram at talklouder_podcast, and of course our website, talklouderpodcast.com, where you'll find links to our previous episodes and also links to buy merch, etc., etc. I'm Metal Dave, along with my co-host Jason McMaster. And man, we got a great guest today, and I got to give you credit, man. You pulled this guy out of. I certainly couldn't have found this guy, but I know you're well connected, and especially in the underground metal scene. We've got Nasty Ronnie from Nasty Savage on the Talk Louder podcast today, and I know of Ronnie and I know his music, but I've never talked to the man and I've never met him. And today was a real eye-opener because he just struck me as a completely genuine, kind-hearted, humble, super smart individual. And I guess I just had this image in my head of this wild man on stage who's just smashing TVs and confronting the audience.
All of the things that you just said, just underlined them 1,000 times. And He mentions something in our interview today with it's pre-recorded. He says, I'm not really a singer. I just play one on stage, and he's being very, very humble. And he's, and he talks about the character Nasty Ronnie as being like a switch that Ron Galletti just turns on. And, he's kind of a go-between that ends up just being the same guy.
Yeah.
But obviously he's a family man and he's an entrepreneur and he knows how to use his resources, and he's a producer. He's an actor, he's a producer, he's a writer, he's a manager, and and he's a go-getter, he's a cheerleader, he's many, many, many things. So I'm happy. I was super ecstatic that he jumped on the opportunity. He almost acted like he couldn't believe that he was like, why do you want to talk to me? It's like, dude, don't even ask me that question.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for him, and I as you'll see, I really probably turned red because I was just going, dude, we have unfinished business, because I have not spent enough time with this person, because I just have so much respect for him. And he's just this almost soft-spoken, but he's also loud at the same time, because he's smart, but he's humble, and he's real. And he's a heavy metal fan.
Yeah.
And he lives and breathes whatever he dips into.
I took away a great appreciation for his passion for all of his pursuits, because you can just tell he's very genuine about it. He thinks things through. Everything that he talks about today, you can tell there's been a great deal of thought behind it. He doesn't just jump out there and execute. He puts a lot of thought into it. He strategizes, thinks about how he's going to network, because he wants the best results, and it's because he believes in what he's doing. And I always appreciate anybody that not only has the raw talent to do something, but understands what it takes to shake hands and reach out to people and network a little bit, and do it without being a nuisance. It's a very fine line between being obnoxious and being sincere and trying to connect with people. And that's what I took away from today. I guess I was just expecting this drooling, raging madman like you've seen him on stage. And
well, he is that. Yeah, you want him to be that madman. You want him to be just like full of blood and sweat and just like pissing off people. And that's what he does on stage. And it's through the music. And dude, Nasty Savage is not to be fucked with. They're like thrash and prog metal and rock and roll and theater and horror show and dominatrix type, S&M, and it's crazy.
Gladiators.
What's going on stage in a Nasty Savage show is the show is run by Nasty Ronnie. but the songs are his vehicle that he's riding around on your face, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the things that I feel very fortunate to have seen some of their early shows as early as 85 and 86, and it was mind-blowing then, and I can only imagine it be just as mind-blowing. It's not the same original lineup, which was just kind of classic, and I have a special place in my heart for that original band,
Right.
and I have mementos from back then that make it even that more. It's a memory that's never going to go away. So that's just awesome to me. But dude, Ronnie, he's, for people who don't know, he was like pretty much in the wrestling crowd, and you
Yeah.
see those big guys, and Ron's a big guy,
Mm-hmm.
flying through the air. How is that possible for this large man to just go shoo
Yeah.
like a spaceship
Like a
flying through
comic
the
book
air?
hero. Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. So this is basically cueing a lot of the photographs that he sent us for our montage. So, Jared's actually putting these together as I say this,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you're seeing these photos while I speak. It's nuts. And we talk about this too. He was on the cover of like every underground heavy metal tape trader type fanzine between 83 and 86.
And he tells us
He
why.
tells us why. We'll
Yeah.
keep that. We'll let him tell us why, and
Yeah.
how professional that is of him to do that. And he probably had to save his lunch money to do it,
Yeah.
because stamps and phone calls and supplies. You got to buy cassette tapes. It was the 80s, people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
wow, just incredible. I could
I
go on.
learned.
I could just go on and on and on about how special of a man he is, and the impact that he made on me and my friends here in Texas when they came through.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff. And he's one of the guys that you hear us talk about when we mention the whole tape trading world of the underground, of how your favorite thrash bands got record deals or got into a magazine. This is living proof of exactly how and what we have been talking about the whole time here on the Talk Louder podcast. Nasty Ronnie. So I gotta say this before any of you motherfuckers says shit to me right now.
The floor
Ronnie, I
is yours.
love you so much, dude. I love you. I have loved you since the day that we met.
Is this a dating site?
You need to know that. I have
David
only.
talking, right?
I'm talking to you, man.
Right, I know. Okay, I'm just
I
making
feel like we have unfinished business. I feel like back in the day, and I don't need to say anything after that, when you guys came to Texas a few times, and the few times that we got to hang out, I just feel like we were brothers, And
Well, man, dude, I just got to say, man, you were the legend of Texas, brother, and it was it was so cool to be around you, because where you were, the vibe was from the people, man. Everyone, really respected you a lot in Texas and all over. But at the time, you were a Texas hero, and Mike from Militia. And the
Yes.
first time, man, at KPFT, and we played on the demo tape tour at the Consolidated Arts Warehouse. There's a famous photo of you, Mike, and myself thrashing on stage. I'm gonna find that, man, and get it to you.
I have that
just
photo
amazing.
somewhere, and I can't find it anywhere. And it's like, I think Gene Bartholomew took that, and it's a close up, and our hair looks like fire. I know exactly
No,
the photo you're talking about.
Yeah, it was actually the guy that came with us. We brought a
Oh.
photographer with us, David Smith.
Oh,
And
okay.
he took some killer Texas shots.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I sent you a couple. One profile shot of me throwing, I think it was the guy in one of the other bands, backwards into this crowd. There's one before and after shot that I sent you guys out of the million photos I sent you.
So I want David to get in here and ask a question. I've already expressed my brotherly love for you and respect, and we have stories to tell. But let's get Dave. This is Metal Dave. You guys, I don't think that you've ever met, but he's from San Antonio, and so he knows about Nasty Savage.
Yeah. I was going to say, I've got a lot of friends in San Antonio that are going to be very interested in this show because I remember hearing them raving about Nasty Savage going all the way back to like 85, 86, something like that. And a lot of them were in bands and continue to be musicians. So I know they're happy for me that I'm talking to you today, and I'm happy to be talking to you today. So let's back up a bit. Nasty Savage, a Florida-based band, but you obviously had a stronghold in San Antonio, so much so that you released a live recording from the Cameo Theater, a venue that Jason and I know very well. So I'm aware of why you had such a stronghold in San Antonio, but for people that are listening to the podcast, tell us, what is your relationship with San Antonio, especially in those early years, and how important was it?
Yeah, first off, San Antonio the relationship was a love relationship, man, because those are some real metal fans and great people, man. Oh my gosh, it was thanks to the radio station, Kiss Radio, Tracy Barnes, and I think it was it Mark Anthony?
Joe Anthony.
Joe Anthony. Joe Anthony. Yes, sir.
Legends with vision who helped metal happen in the 80s. They actually sent a reel-to-reel tape to Metal Blade Records and said, dude, you guys need to sign this band because they are popular in San Antonio, and these guys got something going on. And even in the letter that Brian Slagle wrote me, I believe it even mentions Kiss Radio.
Wow.
So, but that just, because of a man like that and a station like that, it breeds metal fans because they're more educated, they're more into it, and it was a stronghold of America to gain respect and to play because they're passionate people in San Antonio, man, and they just it was a natural, and a lot of history was going on back then. You Watchtower, you got, there's San Antonio Slayer, Militia, and so many other bands. But we did a demo tape tour, and it was really because of KPFT Houston, Texas, that were playing the crap out of our demo tape. And then we got it to San Antonio, the Thrashers that were playing it, the radio station picked it up, and then we hit Austin. So it was a three shows we did on a demo tape tour, man. It was just amazing, because we're doing something in Brandon, Florida, where we created Nasty Savage, but I'm a marketing guy. I'm a performer, but I'm a marketer, man. And I really wasn't a singer, man. I kind of just played one on stage. It's kind of a joke I tell, but if I was the singer, I'm going to market the band. So that's what I was doing. I was licking stamps. I was sending stacks and bags of demo tapes, man. And like KPFT, I had a little space on the end of my demo tape, and I had that rock box in my bedroom, and I hit play and record, and I'd have a whole list of these stations. I go, this is Nasty Ronnie from Nasty Savage here on KPFT Houston, Texas, and here's a song off our new demo tape, Wage of Mayhem. This is Unchained Angel. So now I'm a DJ at KPFT, and I get that in the mail. He's going to play that shit, man.
Yes.
And I did that times 100. I had a list of every underground college station, and one of the big one was Don K in New York City. I didn't know who I was sending them to, but those guys really appreciated when someone supplied them. And then what happened after that, a lot of bands started coming up here in Brandon, and I would give those guys all the contacts. I said, go for it, man. Here's your homework. And so it was a good feeling that I was able to help other bands, local bands, guys that had demos out at the time or trying to get somewhere. And Well, I just give them home to do with it, but it's because of the people, the fans, the media. I mean, you got to take care of business. You got to market. You got to market. You got to market. You got to push, and you have to have something to back it up. And getting back to your original question, San Antonio is just one of our most favorite places to ever play in the world, man. And you know, after the first time you come back and they've got the barbecues ready, I mean, they treat you like they're your family. And
It's true.
some of the greatest times, man, and the best food and hospitality and all of Texas. Give me a T for Texas, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, we got to get him a gig at the Chamber of Commerce, man.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was like one of the best pro-Texas speeches
now
I've
you-
heard.
Economic impact.
So you know, I wanted to jump into the middle of that, but you were on such a good foray rant, kind of you know, Roman candle there. I wonder how many other heavy metal singers or just anybody in any band was, you know, doing the same thing that you were doing in the early to mid 80s with your demo tape and got to, you know, to at least see the mountain that was built for you, and you gave back by, you know, bag of tapes, licking stamps, sending them to every fanzine, every radio station that had an underground metal, a burgeoning metal scene, and I wonder, you know, because you did the work, you did the work, and I can only see you smiling and having fun doing the work, because heavy metal back then, in a roundabout way, was still fairly new, especially Nasty Savage heavy metal, because you guys have your own thing. And I believe that was the charm. That was the charm for Metal Blade to get with you. It was the charm for the reason for any DJ or any other fanzine to want to write about you. It's funny, Unchained Angel remains my favorite Nasty Savage song. And just Ben singing those chorus lines, Unchained Angel. It's like I'll never, ever forget the moments, the times I was in the audience at the Ritz and the Cameo watching you guys play. And Father Ronnie, I have a confession to make. It has been, Father, please forgive me. It has been 35 years since I have seen Nasty Savage play live. I don't know how many unholy Hail Marys I need to say, but please let me into heavy metal heaven. Please forgive my soul that it has been that long. But you know, Ronnie, I have to say, I don't really have a question. I'm just kind of throwing this out there. It was a handful of years later that I'm in Florida with my band Dangerous Toys, and I walk into my dressing room, and you're in there. You're in there with two like Amazon creature wrestling ladies and Tom Allum, world-renowned heavy metal hard rock producer. Y'all are in my dressing room, and I walk in and my jaw's on the floor, and I really feel like I was so freaked out I didn't know what to say or do, and that's on me. And I just feel guilty that I didn't give you enough bro hugs or give you my, you know, we didn't really get to catch up. I just feel like we have all this unfinished business as metal brothers, and that was just a crazy ass moment that I think about very, very often. And tell us about your, we know that, you know, you guys made a handful of records and you're kind of back at it, or you never, did Nasty Savage take a break ever?
Oh yeah, I think we did a tour with DRI in 1990,
Okay.
92 or something. It was 60 shows in 65 days. And from LA, Chicago, Detroit, across Canada, Texas. We played, you know, the Fox in Atlanta, everywhere possible, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas. everywhere in between, New York City, Buffalo, Syracuse, the DRI, those guys tour.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was amazing. And they're great guys. We just released Penetration Point, the album. And after that, we kind of broke up. Yeah. And then Ben left. And we kind of quit jamming. We did a couple of festivals in Germany. You know, as you play once in a while here and there, but then it kind of stopped. And then we replaced Ben, and we just kept going, man. And we've been playing off and on for ever since. But so if you say 35 years, you haven't seen us. We probably haven't played 35 shows. I mean, we probably played maybe 6, maybe 45.
Okay.
So, but when we play, we've done festivals. Like before COVID, we played in Lima, Peru. We headlined that, and then Santiago, Chile. We went to South America and did all that stuff too, with Ben still in the band. But then we've been just kicking ass and doing all kinds of shows in Europe before COVID, and now we just had a string of like 3 shows, and this month we're going to Mexico City. So it's exciting, but after that we have no shows. And getting back to Lakeland Civic Center, we came there to see you, man, and it was great to see you, but you were busy. I mean, you were on the road, and I kind of thought, wow, it was so quick. But we got a couple photos and stuff, and it was a pleasure to come see you, because you're an amazing singer and performer, and just all around good person. And you've always had success. And back in those early days of Nasty Savage, I'm telling you, I know Dave and used to listen to Watchtower quite a bit, man. So it was so cool to be around at that time of metal. Like you said, there was no internet. There was nothing but licking stamps or phone calling. There was nothing else.
Yeah.
And that's what we had to do. I mean, nothing comes easy in life, man.
Right.
So with me, I figured if I'm going to be the singer, I might as well market. But it's really about the music and the band. And that's what drives me whatever I do on stage. It's hypnotic music that just makes me get in my rhythm. And you turn on that switch, man. And you just go to work and you perform. And that's my deal. Like, man, I just watched the Elvis movie. The new Elvis movie is amazing. Colonel Parker, Tom Hanks was awesome. But back in the day, you'd have Elvis, Johnny Cash, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, sometimes playing on the same stage in the same night in front of people.
Yeah.
So when Jerry Lee would get off the stage, he'd go to Little Richard after he burned his piano down and said, "Top that," and then Elvis, did one after another. So I always looked at it, when you have the stage, take it. Whatever you do in life, go for it. And the stage connection as I get older is even, it's more of a real connection and theater and stuff that I just try to. It's like wrestlers. When a good wrestler, you'll see a good wrestler, and he'll work slow because he'll be methodical and let you understand the psychology of what he's delivering. And that's kind of how I've got it now. It's slowing it down. Doing stuff with flowers on the TV set during the morgue when it's about mourning a loved one lost. But I'm taking flowers with a mask on, a skull mask and shit. And I'm dropping flowers down on the TV, like, because you know what's going to happen to that TV. And I'm just working the crowd, man. You could feel them following along, man. And it's like, oh, shit, it's so cool. I mean, I've just had the greatest time. It's almost like Picasso in his later days in his life. He knew it was coming to the end, or he just knew he wanted to produce more than ever, more sculpture, more paintings, and you just want to take it over the edge, it's amazing. It's what we do when we have that stage. And just like Jerry Lee or Elvis, and they were right there with each other. I mean, we just played the Carolina Chainsaw Massacre, and
Yeah.
we were fourth before the end. Nuclear Assault headlined, and there's two other bands, and we came on after they put on a comedian. This guy, I
Oh,
forget what show he was. So it was great because the comedian like killed the crowd. We came on and just fucking blew everybody away, man. I mean, I could look at the eyes of those guys that coming after us, and we got off the stage. They were like, "Holy shit, boys, let's huddle up, let's huddle up, let's huddle up." I could see it, brother, in their eyes, because I mean, some of those pictures are ones from that show I sent you, man. But to do that at 60 years old, it's such a pleasure and honor to do it with the guys and to share
yeah.
those moments with the fans, man. Because what's happening is these young kids are looking for old school, and no one just gets on there and is half preaching, half Jim Morrison, or half whoever, and just puts on this show. I don't think, and they're not used to that. I just command them and hook them from the get-go right to the end.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
let me interrupt. Without mentioning, well, I guess I have to mention, the original guys who do relate similar stage antics that you have, and from Kiss to Alice Cooper to even Iggy Pop and David Bowie, but you could pull from the wrestling ring as well, and you're involved with that, and we'll talk about your years as a, was it semi-pro? Were you doing semi-pro wrestling? What were you doing? We can talk about it now.
Well, let's see. It just started out with me loving wrestling, and I used to watch pro wrestling from Florida every Saturday night. Man, my friends wouldn't come pick me up to go out until 8 o'clock when wrestling was over, because I'd be watching it with my mom. And Dusty Rhodes came into my life as a baby face, as a good guy, and he was the son of a plumber, the American dream, and just something about I loved wrestling a lot, So when I got Nasty Savage and all that, I was backstage at a Iron Maiden concert, and there was Kevin Sullivan, the Prince of Darkness, one of the most evil wrestlers and hotbed for Florida. He had the Purple Haze, Mayhouse Singh, he was so killer. So I had to meet him, and I did. And I said, dude, I need to get work with you. You got to work with Nasty Savage, dude. He's like, yeah, brother. Okay, sure. He goes, come see me at the Sportatorium. So I go to the Sportatorium the next Tuesday or whatever to meet him. Made me wait all day. He never came out. Finally, he came out at the end. He goes, I can't talk now. Come Saturday night to this arena. So I went to that one in Sarasota. Same thing. Oh, man, I can't talk. But I stayed with it, and I went to the next one. And finally, I go, dude, we're playing Saturday night at Ruby's Pub. Come see Nasty Savage. You'll see what I do, and or you'll see what we do as a band. So I'm on stage, and but it's mayhem back then.
Yeah.
It's like total mayhem. Early 80, 84. I look at the left, and I see them come in the door, and they go to the back. Bottom line is, the next day he called me and said, brother, come have dinner with us tonight. You come see us. And I just started out getting on Championship Wrestling from Florida with Kevin Sullivan. I took him to Vandekar's house, where the guy who painted our album covers is like Warlock dude. And next thing you know, I was on TV because they did the TV show. So once I got on that, I was able to just walk into these wrestling schools around here, Malenko School, and start getting involved in promoting and wrestling and being a manager. And then I started promoting my own shows. And the next thing you know, I got a call from a guy named Eddie Mansfield at Universal Studios and IWF Wrestling. I went on to co-produce 200 episodes of the IWF Wrestling.
Wow.
So I wasn't really a full-fledged wrestler all the time, but I could do the moves if I had to. And
Yeah.
but I was a manager, promoter, talent, creative director, all that. That's what I learned, how I learned my background for television. So
Wow.
I always was just inspired and influenced by pro wrestling and aggressiveness. And
See, that's something. That's something that from a guy who I'm always telling young musicians and bands and stuff, you got to use your resources, man. Go meet someone at the radio station. Go, find some magazines that have addresses that you can literally write to them. Now it would be an email address, but that's okay. Same shit.
Yeah.
And that's that's amazing that you got into that and were actually became part of what you were a fan of, and that's how that shit kind of works. But where I was going with the performance aspect and even the shows that you invited someone you admire to come see just so they could soak it up, and of course your magic worked and you got invited to dinner, and then the rest was snowball.
Yeah, they respected once they
Yeah.
saw that I'm a real performer and
of
a
course.
worker as well as they are.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you were doing something that they didn't really have, because, you know, you were actually doing some of their moves maybe on stage with heavy metal, and you're singing, and, you know, are they singing? No, you know, so you actually were mixed media. You know, you were doing all kinds of shit.
Yeah, I was crossing every line I possibly could because you just had to. But one thing he did do is he said, "Hey, brother, you know those flash bombs you had on stage? He goes, can you bring that to Daytona? We're doing this big show with a triple chance cage match." And I got to be part of the entourage coming down. But I brought the flash bombs, and that was before wrestling was really doing pyro and all that.
Yeah,
and I had these two flash bombs that they used, and they're all excited about it, man. And, you know, just you always got to bring value to somebody. And, you know, one thing going back to the early demo tape days,
Yeah.
I would look at like pen pals in the back of Hit Parader or whatever magazine. So I would just send someone a free CD, a free demo tape, and I'd put a bunch of shit in there because I knew that every metal dude hangs out with about 6 or 8 other metal dudes. So he goes, "Look what I got from Nasty or Savage, man." Oh, next thing you know, I get 3 or 4 more orders coming in from that area. I could tell what was going on. So I was like marketing to people psychologically in a way of marketing, you know, back then, because you just are born with it or not, you know. And that's why I did it, because I'm a natural.
Well, if somebody because I still sell merch on all my websites, right? If someone orders one from one of my projects or one of my bands, dude, it could be toys, it could be one of my many, and I'll throw extra shit in there that they didn't want, that they didn't order, just to see, oh, they might, if they dig this, they'll probably dig this, you know, and it usually just kind of helps, you know, you're marketing, you're promoting. It's not like you're actually trying to make more money, because nobody's getting rich off of what we do. It is for the love of the game. Wait, but
you know what it really was about is just making somebody's day. And if they thought enough of us to order one or to reach out, do you know how great you feel when someone reaches back? I mean,
yes,
you're just happy, and you spread happiness and positiveness. And I mean, that's what life's about, but that's what marketing's about for me, just making people's day every time I could.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the performance, since we were speaking about it just a minute ago. Obviously, your onstage performance is very physical and aggressive, and you smash the televisions and all that stuff. Given that that's part of your act, I'm sure. What's the worst onstage mishap you've had with, you know, smashing a TV or getting engaged with a crowd, or you ever hurt yourself or hurt anybody in the audience, or have any hecklers trying to outdo you, out crazy Nasty Ronnie or anything?
I don't usually get the hecklers. If I do, you know, I take care of them. But it's a free speech. You have the freedom to say what you want, fuck face. You know, that happened one time in Syracuse on a tour with all the skinheads with DRI. I said, just come on up here one by one. I'll kick your asses right now. And none of them came up. And DRI, they were freaking out. You know, it was the Chance in Syracuse. They were talking so much shit, and I just jumped up in the air, came down, boom, right on my chest, and jumped back up. I did a flip, landed on my back. I said, come on. None of them did. But that's just, you just roll with whatever happens on stage. And, you know, I really don't let anybody mess with the TVs, because they're very dangerous. They're, you know, and that's mine. It's like a lion, man. That's my shit. Don't mess with it. So once in a while I'd have to throw a guy off stage or slam him or knock him off but just I've never really been hurt. It's a thing that I've always done. It's a gimmick, but it's real. It's sort of like a bullfighter, you know what's going on with the bull. You know that what's going to happen to the bull, but he messes with the bull a lot before he does what he has to do. And that's kind of what I do with the TVs. It's just sometimes I look back and go, man, are we just a sideshow act? Does people take us serious? But that's where the music comes in, so serious, so powerful, so progressive, and just, classic songs of Nasty Ronnie.
Your band is not fucking around. You
No,
guys are a mash of so many, hard rock stylistically. You guys are progressive thrash metal, classic metal with hard rock, and you got Nasty Ronnie doing what Nasty Ronnie does. Do you feel like, you're like a proper nice young man, and then Nasty Ronnie is like a persona that takes over?
Well, that's what I mean. It's you got to turn on the switch on and off, otherwise you just burn yourself out. So you got to be real too. I mean,
Yeah.
So there is probably, I don't sometimes know that other guy, but then I do, and it's just like I just like to take people. It's total theater and performance, but it's something very serious that you have to do it. Singing songs to please myself all at once, things seem so small. Your grief and mine must intertwine. Indulgence, it's and that's what it's.
Yeah.
That's what it's about to me. It's just like, just ride, baby. Come for this ride. Burn images in your brain, and then you're going to be entertained. And at the end of the day, tomorrow, you're going to think about some of those images because they're going to be there. You're not going to forget them.
Right.
You're not going to forget. So it's just the performance, and there is two people. There has to be, for me. That's always been me.
Yeah.
Where were you guys getting the budget for all the television sets? Because you guys obviously probably weren't, not a big budget band, didn't have a lot of extra money for props, and you're going through these things on a nightly basis. Are you making the rounds at the pawn shops before the gigs, or where are you acquiring all these television sets?
Well, you go back to your fan base, and you say, hey, bring a TV, you get it free, bring a TV, whatever, just bring one. Now I put it in my writers. I put it in the writers, so the promoters have to deliver it. But we would go on tour with about 5 or 6, 7 TVs, and the first time we played New York, we played Lemoore with Slayer, and I smashed a TV then. And then like a couple of months later, the guys from Metal Forces magazine contacts me and goes, hey, Billy Milano said something about you, look. And I go, Billy Milano, really? I go, what? He goes, he said he could kick your ass in 10 seconds that you smash fake TVs. I go, are you serious? I go, well, you tell him if I ever see him, I'll have my stopwatch, big deal. So I'm in New Jersey and New York, and we're playing a gig, right? And I see Billy Milano. I'm on stage, and I see him in the crowd. So after we were done, I was bird dogging, man, seeing where he's at, and I saw him go into the bathroom. So I followed him in the bathroom. He's there taking a leak, right, with his, at the wall. I came up behind him, put my hand right behind his head, pushed him under the wall. I go, hey, Billy, and I pushed him back, and I go, it's Nasty Ronnie, and I brought my stopwatch. He goes, oh, man, he goes, I'm sorry. It was just a bad time in my life. So it was a good thing we didn't fight. He's a bad dude, looks pretty tough. But I was ready to throw down. I brought out Nasty Ronnie there. And my bass player was in the room, and Dan Linker was in there too. From right after we were done, we came out and we all hung out a little bit. But it was funny because I didn't really want to fight, but I was ready.
Because Billy's okay. He's okay. He actually lives down here in Austin.
I saw him last weekend.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
But
And we've
talking,
made friends since then. I mean, we were cool that night, but it was just
Yeah.
something that heavy metal shit that happens,
Yeah.
once in a while.
Yeah.
You just gotta. That's where you stand up for who you are, no
That's
matter
right.
what.
That's right.
You protect yourself, your bandmates, and your music,
That's
and
right.
who you are.
So I have a couple of things I want to hold up, just to kind of keep things going here. So I don't know if you can see this very well.
Oh, I don't have my glasses on.
Okay.
What is
Well,
it?
it's a guillotine. It's guillotine.
Oh, okay, I see it. Yep.
Yeah. It says $1 guillotine.
It's a fanzine for those who aren't watching. It's what is
Yeah.
it? A guillotine fanzine.
It's got young Ronnie on the cover.
That's probably
And
their first issue.
There's a yeah. Yeah, it doesn't say, yeah, it says #1 right here. You were exactly right. It's got King Diamond on the back. So this is probably 84, right? 83 maybe?
Yeah. There was something about that is the guys who put that together and would hang out with Chuck and the guys from Def. And
Yeah,
in
Mark Conrad and John Gross. I want to definitely mention those
two
guys. Yeah.
Those two guys.
Well,
yeah,
I was writing to these guys, and then I either brought this to a Nasty Savage Militia show in Texas, or you sent it to me because this has your autograph on it. It says,
Really?
you're drawing a little bubble up here, and it says you wrote Watchtower kicks fucking ass, and then you wrote down here, my brother of metal till the day I die hard. Nasty fucking Ronnie. Triple X.
Oh, hell yeah.
Got the triple X, bro.
That's my signature.
Dude, I cherish this thing that's not worth 50 cents. It's not. It has everybody in it: Overkill, Exciter, Venom, Manowar, Slayer, Silver Mountain, Anthrax. Oh, you signed even the centerfold where it's talking the interviews and shit. You went through the whole thing and made sure that you signed it.
Man, that's what it was about, was fanzines. That's
the whole band. I got all you guys. The whole fucking band signed it right here, bro.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, fanzines was, I mean, you talked about it earlier, and Jason and I talk about it on the show all the time. It's hard for people to remember, but there was a time when you licked stamps and you went to the print shop and made Xerox copies of flyers and folded envelopes and all that stuff. And that was sort of your internet before the internet. That's the way metal people connected with each other and traded tapes and turned each other on to new bands.
I mean,
wait, wasn't there one in San Antonio called the Unholy Book or something?
That's correct.
Yeah.
They got the name from the Slayer song, Unholy Book. Yeah.
I mean, I reached out to every fanzine possible, but when I sent them stuff, I would send them plenty of photos, a bio, a demo, so I helped them help me.
Yes.
And if more people would think like that, they could probably get a little further down the road, man.
Yes.
Because most of those guys don't want to have to type or figure out stuff to write. And then, could you have photos? Yeah, I'll mail them to you. Just give it all at one time. And the excitement again, that's why I got on the cover of like 15 different fanzines and magazines,
Yeah, probably in 1 year, Ronnie.
Because
probably
you sent the photo.
Because you took care of it. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. My whole background is in journalism, and you're absolutely right. You just nailed it. There was a time when you were looking to fill pages as an editor at a magazine. You were looking to fill pages. And if Nasty Ronnie sends you a high-quality photo that you can reprint and he sends you the article, then...
And it's a dynamic image.
Yeah, you just filled 3 pages of a magazine without lifting a finger. And that's pure gold to somebody who's trying to make a magazine happen back in those days. So I remember working publicity for some bands out of San Antonio, some thrash metal bands, and I was taking, just what you said. I would tell them, look, let's get a good photo, preferably black and white, because we're trying to get into the newspapers, right? That's what you tried to get into back then on the local level. So we needed a high-quality 8x10 black and white photo. We needed a professional bio. We needed a name. We needed an address. And I was the guy that was in charge of tracking all that down or creating it. And you're absolutely right. We got results because we provided the stuff. If you wait for them to come to you, it ain't ever going to happen, right? So you're absolutely right.
I mean, we would get a bunch of people sending interviews, and I mean, we'd go through them. Dave would come over, some of the guys. We'd just sit at the table and write stuff, and you know, it's really part of who you have to be. One thing I did, I got a great relationship going with my local news media. As soon as we started getting fan mail, that's Local Boys Doing Good story, man, and they took it hook, line, and sinker. Started coming out to our shows, and I got to know the photographers. And if we played on a Saturday night, Monday morning, I'd be Sunday morning when everybody was not in the news place. Me and the photographer would go in there and start developing photos and putting them on 8x10 glossies, dipping them in the water and stuff. Yeah. I'd leave there with a stack probably 5 inches thick, man, of photos, and then I'd go to work. But
absolutely.
I mean, I worked until they were like, I gotta go. Man. I'm like, here, one more.
Yeah.
I was on a mission, man. You have to be.
Yeah.
And the photographers were so into it because they're going out and shooting a balloon show or a parade. Totally. Now they're in this mayhemic, crazy, youthful band and energy, and they loved it, man.
It's the most interesting thing they've seen in a month. And so, of course, they're totally into it. And they might even be, metal fans, when they're not punching the clock 9 to 5. So that's another thing, too. You not only do you provide them the goods, in a lot of cases, you're also appealing to their personal interests that they don't necessarily advertise at work, in the corporate world or whatever. But if I'm at a desk all day and my job is to fill the entertainment pages, and you send me a quality black and white photo and a bio to work with or something, oh my God, this is the greatest assignment I've had all month. Thank you, Jesus. I'm loving this all of a sudden,
Oh, heck yeah. But I'd go to the editor. I'd get in good with the editor, because when the editor says yes, everybody follows.
That's right.
So I would just stroke them like, man, dude, this is so, whatever, selling it. And they'd always go for a story like that. Good Local Boys Doing Good, doing international stuff. So it just all worked out. But one thing, take care of your media people, man. Give them the space they need. Give them the time they need to do their job. And don't act like a rock star, man. Just give people the time, because they're doing it for a reason. Sometimes it's not only their job, it's their passion. And that's a dying breed right now of metal media. And man, it's so important to us.
Right. You make a good point there is a fine line between being proactive and being a nuisance, and you got to be able to know where to strike that balance in order to get everything to work in your favor as much as possible.
Well, it's like you got to get your shot, man. You got to get it. Go get your assignment, get it done.
Yeah.
I publish a magazine here, Born to Ride. It's a TV show and a magazine, biker magazine, borntoride.com. They can check out. But I say I'm like Perry White. I'll send people. Perry White was the editor of the Daily Planet, and he'd send Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen out to get the story. They don't get the story, he'd send them back. Go get it. You didn't give it to me, and that's what I've had to do. And I mean, I'm pretty good with direction or communication. Being a producer, a director, if it's not right, it's usually my fault because I didn't communicate effectively enough. So I've learned to be a pretty good communicator as much as I can, and it's very important. But if you got to get your shot, if you're Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and them, you better get it. Don't come back without it. Right. So work it until you get that interview. Otherwise you didn't deliver. And if the band just shuts you down, I mean, that's it. But if there's still an opportunity, get it. I got Willie Nelson one time just hanging out and waiting long enough. He said he'd do it. He came out and did it. Wow. You just got to hang in there.
Yeah.
Well, back to what you were saying about, they just, fanzines would put you on the cover all the time. There's, your photos, there's usually blood and sweat and leather and TV particles all over your body anyway, and the photos you're probably sending. So of course you're going to be on the fucking cover. I've got a stack of old 80s fanzines in my lap right now, and none of them are past probably 1987. So you can imagine my collection, right? This is Killjoy's first issue. And, you know, we lost Killjoy a couple of years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, Frank, he passed away.
Yep,
And,
yep,
you know,
yep.
I gave him the name Killjoy.
Wow.
I used to be Nasty Ronnie Killjoy.
I know. I have your autograph, and you signed it Killjoy on one of the photos. Yeah.
So Frank he was such a diehard Savage fan back in the day.
Yeah.
He'd come to Tampa and hang out and stay at Curtis's house and shit for like 3 weeks. And, you know, he was always around. And I said, dude, you want to do your thing? You're Killjoy. And then he took that name, and, you know, he did Necrophagia, and he was a legend in that year of metal. You know,
he was a big supporter of mine, even with the toys. He followed me through the forest. He followed my whole thing, much like you. You guys were so sweet. He's all over this, of course, but you're on the cover.
Was it Killjoy's mag? What was it called?
Yeah, it's called The Metal Commandments.
Okay.
And this is from spring of '85, but it's got a bunch of 84 stuff in here. It says he's got the best album of '84, Don't Break the Oath. He's best EP, Morbid Tales, Celtic Frost. Best demo, The Wage of Mayhem, Nasty Savage.
Cool.
Yeah, best new bands, Voivod, Nasty Savage, Destruction. Best male vocalists, tie for King Diamond and Nasty Ronnie.
Oh.
It's the best. It's the best. This is hysterical and true, all in one like swipe. He's got the Killjoy meets Poser on the back, where he's about to wipe out a poser. This is just classic fun.
Do you have the Nasty Savage Wage of Mayhem fanzine? We did 3 of those.
I knew that you guys had your own fanzine. I've talked about that on the Talk Louder podcast before, about how Nasty Savage and some other bands would literally create their own fanzine so they could talk to people that way, and also put lists of people's addresses for crash pads, or if you need a Marshall cabinet, if you need a bass rig, whatever, phone numbers and and the metalheads got all that shit from the old punk rock guys. I know that.
Oh yeah, those fanzines, man.
I wanted to move forward even with what I have more. This is also from 1985. I want to say this is from France, and it's got yours truly on the cover. This is called Metal.
That's like Canada. Yeah.
Canada. It's Metal KO, Metal Knockout. Yeah.
Right.
And it's got a good-looking man right there on the front. And, of course.
Pictures I sent him that in the dark room we finally did it.
Yeah, that's right. That's
you.
right. And it's got some excellent photos. It looks like it has a photo from the Consolidated Arts Warehouse. One of the ones that you actually sent to use in our slideshow is actually in here.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Let's see.
Yeah, that's from Consolidated Arts Warehouse.
That was such an amazing show.
Oh my God. And me and Mike Solis, we weren't even on the bill. We came up from Austin just to be there with you guys.
Oh man.
Unstoppable and unbelievable.
It was a classic night, because the Doom Society, those people.
Yes.
We primed them up on the radio show for weeks and weeks to come. We had to back it up. We got there, man.
Well,
it was pure mayhem.
Yeah, I'm still friends with Andy and Rob.
Some of the greatest guys I've ever met.
It's
true.
It's true.
When they come to Florida, we try to hang out wherever.
Yeah. I also have one last thing I wanted to hold up, and I wish I had the Wage of Mayhem. I swear I used to have those, but they're not in my crypt, right?
Well, you know what? We did 3 of those, and one of the reasons, we did it for self-promotion and marketing.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would also promote other bands and stuff like that. But I'd also reach out to record companies to get free records, and they'd send them. I'd get, all kinds of records to review. So
This is why that right there, those of you listening and watching, that right there is unfortunately a guerrilla tactic for punks to get free music from the record labels. Is they'll create a crappy fanzine with literally no vision whatsoever, solely so they can rip off and just get free music, which I think is super shitty.
But today they do it with websites.
Yeah,
but
that's
they
right.
Were promoting those bands too, man. They were doing the reviews.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it is getting the name out there, whether the photo's quality or the writing is quality or whatever.
And even a shitty fanzine, it has value because people dig that and they're reaching somebody. So even the shittiest, I never said shittiest, but I would help anybody who reached out. I would always try to get to those people and make their day. And it was important because it's like politics, man. You got to kiss babies. You got to shake some hands out there, man.
Yeah, you do. You do.
You got to do it.
I have I have something that I'm wondering if I should just lead with this. You should have a copy of this, and I don't know if you have this. Look at this beautiful book here. This is called. Have you seen this? Have you heard of this?
What is it? No.
This is called As Viewed from the Pit. It's basically the Central Texas version of Murder in the Front Row, like you were saying.
Those guys just came out to see us in L.A.
That's me. That's me doing my best Nasty Ronnie on stage at the Cameo on the front cover.
Oh, that is cool as hell.
And
I'd like to see that.
Well, you need to get a copy of this, and they're in their second printing right now. Our buddy Juan Herrera, who was he's been a guest on our show, of course he has. And I wanted to show. Do you remember? Of course you remember Liliana Martinez.
Yes.
The photographer in San Antonio. She loved you so much. And I just want to share this photo that's about 3 or 4 pages into the book. And this is Nasty Ronnie, Liliana Martinez, Art Villarreal from S.A. Slayer, Carry On, and yours truly. And look, you and I have the same haircut.
Oh, man. That is cool.
Yeah.
You'll have to take a picture of that and text it to me later.
Okay.
There's some cool pictures of me and you one time in San Antonio or along the river walk, I believe. I have some with a nutcracker or something.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you know what? I think some of those that you speak of are in this beautiful book.
Oh, that's cool.
And if you want to tell some people about it, they can find this online. It says photos from the South Texas metal scene from 78 to 89. So it's, he stayed within the walls.
Yeah.
I think if you don't play Texas, if you don't get appreciated in Texas or gain respect or the following or whatever in Texas, you really haven't made it anywhere, because Texas is such a stronghold on metal. And, we played El Paso, Corpus Christi and McAllen, Texas. Oh my God. But Houston and San Antonio is, each city had their own thing, but there's something really special about San Antonio and the people of San Antonio. And then it's Texas in general. Give me a T for Texas, man.
Yeah.
I'm really excited just talking about it. I do.
Well, it's really cool that you're an ambassador for Texas, and obviously you still are well loved down here, and you guys, it's so good to see you guys active somewhat, and I love the sort of like back and forth between you and Caton DePena and from Hyrax, and he's one of us. He was a lot of the same things that you guys resemble for underground metal. It's you guys are cut from the exact same cloth.
Well, you know what? I was going to bring that up because when you said who else was doing that, That's the first guy that comes to
Yeah.
mind. We were pen pals, you know,
Yeah.
and he still has the Nasty Savage demo, and I think the man found the fountain of youth, man, because he still looks like he did back when he was 22, man. And we just played with him in LA, and he was unbelievable, but more of an unbelievable guy, you know, and
Yeah.
just a solid, respectful. People love him, and
Yeah.
he's worked hard. He was all over the underground too.
Yes.
That's you can't deny that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he's very well loved, and he's very positive. He's positive all the time. He's positive.
He's a great ambassador.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about the importance of Texas if you're a metal band and winning over fans in Texas. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Florida because I think, you know, Florida's got a very well-known and distinctive metal scene. A lot of people automatically think the San Francisco, the Bay Area, or they think the East Coast. But Florida, you know, spawned a lot of great metal bands, and you guys were sort of one of the very first. I mean, you mentioned Death earlier in the conversation. There's Death, there's Deicide, there's Obituary. I mean, there's Morbid Angel. Yeah, all these bands.
Cannibal Corpse.
If I'm not mistaken, you guys were among the first. So take me back to that time and tell me, what was the scene like? Was there camaraderie among all you bands, knowing that you were in a place like Florida where there wasn't necessarily a hotbed of record label activity?
Yeah, we're talking like 83 to 85.
We're talking mid 80s. Take me back to Florida at that time and some of the bands I just mentioned, and tell me, what was it like being a part of that and being in the eye of that storm?
I'm going to take you back. All right. I'm going to take you way back. We're going back to the old school. Is everybody in? We're going to get on the bus or take a ride.
Buckle up.
We're going back to the old school.
Nasty Ronnie's driving the bus. Look out.
That's right, man. Is everybody in?
Cue the music.
Keep your arms inside, please.
But see, back then, I mean, there was Sabotage. They were Avatar, and then they turned into Sabotage before our eyes, and we used to just thrash. There was another band called Argus, and that was really about it. And then this band was looking for a singer, and they were called Nightmare. And my friend said, "You got to go try for this band." So I went there, and it was Ben, Craig Huffman on drums, and Fred Dregerson was the bass player. And I went there and tried out, and I sang like the Rothschild 2 times and left. And then I never heard back from the dudes. And I'm like, damn. So then I saw them at a keg party. And I go, "Hey, man, do you guys want me to be your singer or not?" And they go, yeah. I go, "I'll be over Monday with a game plan." They go, "Okay." So I go over to the house, and I go, "Everybody out of the house." It was a jam house. And they're looking like, "Who the hell is this guy?" I go, "Everybody out except the band, okay?" And they all left. I go, "Sit down." I said, "Come on, guys, this is what it's going to be. Nasty Savage. I'm going to be Nasty Ronnie, the wildest singer ever. And we're going to put our money together, and we're going to do a demo tape called Wage of Mayhem. And within 1 year, we're going to be signed. We're going to be getting fan mail from all the, we're going to be touring. Are you with me? Is everybody in?" And they go, "Yeah, man, let's do it." And we just didn't look back. So we break out. We start playing in cow pastures and shit, you know, with a keg party, $2 to get in stuff, you know. We had someone at the door. We built a stage. We'd steal wood from job sites. You know, we were creating this shit. Actually, the first show we did was in a guy's side yard. His mom and dad were out of town in a suburban neighborhood. And we stole a bunch of wood from a job site. And we built the stage. And we're playing, and I'm about ready to go on stage, you know, and my buddy pulls up on a Harley. I go, "Hey, man, let me ride that thing." And I rode it right through the crowd to the front of the stage, got off and got on the stage, and we made an impact right from the get-go. So we're loud in the neighborhood. The police come, you know, probably within about 3 or 4 songs. The cops come, 2 or 3 squad cars, and they come right to the front of the stage, and as soon as they get to the front of the stage, we stop, and then we started playing Breaking the Law. And then, you know, the cops were like, they were so pissed. You know, they took us off the stage. But what the best part was sensationalism. It was magnification of this band, this Nasty Savage. They're defying the police. So the police left. And as soon as they left, we started doing it again. They came back, you know, finally we shut it down. But then we went on to another show and we started jamming. And these guys from Brandon were metalheads. So Morbid Angel, Deicide, Obituary, those guys were metalheads before they were in a band.
Sure.
They kind of witnessed mayhem of us. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying the impact that we gave. We're just original what we did, and that's all we knew. So we put on this crazy show. So because of that, it spawned their own mayhem within themselves to be extreme death, extreme guitarists, extreme everything, or just taking care of business. The Obituary guys, I'm at my mom's house one day, living at my mom's house, mom and dad, and my mom goes, Ron, there's two boys at the door. They want to talk to you. I go, okay. So I go there and they go, are you Nasty Ronnie? I go, yeah. They go, well, I'm John and Donald Tardy, and we want to know how to start a band. They're on their bicycles. They came to my house. They were
I love
smart.
that.
They were smart enough to find where I live, to go to the man or the person who's marketing metal and who put an impact on them. So I was like, man, I respect what you guys want to know. I go, let's go to Lithia Springs and let's throw the Frisbee for about 7 hours. And then we'll talk metal all day.
7 hours.
And that's what we did, man. And, you know, and look at those guys today. And their book just came out. There's a whole chapter on how Nasty Savage inspired them, and
Whoa.
that means the world to me. And then they did the video. It's a cartoon or a caricature, whatever you call it, 10,000 Ways to Die. They pull up to a Nasty Savage gig. They couldn't get in. They get in, and then we're on stage. It's got us playing Unchained Angel, like caricatures. You got to see it. The videos had over 5 million or 6 million views.
Holy shit,
So
what song is this?
it's called Obituary, 10,000 Ways to Die.
10,000 Ways to Die.
They come up from, they're thrashing, and all of a sudden the zombies come in, and then they goes onto their video. But they honored us, and we've got to attribute guys like that who totally respected us enough to do that for us in honor, you know, of just being real. And all these new metalheads are seeing Nasty Savage for the first day. I go, who the hell is this band? You know, and because of them, when we're playing now, these younger kids seem to they're just like coming out of the woodwork. It's really cool that the younger kids respect that, because, you know, we're not just going and going off, off, off. You know, we have a little bit of, it's a little different. So they like it. And, you know, bands like Morbid Angel and all those guys, they did come after us. And a lot of the guys give us a lot of Chuck from Death was really inspired by Nasty Savage. And Chuck always wanted to break away from death metal. He wanted to do more. Scott Carino's in our band now, bass player, and he toured with Death for a while.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing bass player. But yeah, the metal scene is like, there was California and, man, you know, the Bay Area, Metallica, Slayer, and everybody, Exodus. And then there was New York with the Anthrax and all that. And I don't think Florida really got its due. You know, like Metal Blade really didn't do much with us. They should have, but because of our bad management, they had us tied down. And who's going to promote something if they only have them to a one-year deal?
Yeah.
So you know, but definitely, man, the scene back then was, go for it, make it happen, and don't wait for anybody else to do it for you. Just blaze a trail. That's kind of what we did.
What do you?
I love that story, by the way.
Yeah,
thanks.
me too.
That was
fantastic.
awesome.
That is cool, man.
That was awesome.
We can all. I think a lot of people can relate to the story about the respect given because you made an impact, and something similar like that. Not to generalize, but something similar to that was happening in all of the bigger metal scenes in the middle of nowhere in some instances, and then of course in the big cities too. But a version of that happened right here in Austin, Texas, the most unmetal place in Texas, you know, it's a twang town. It's an acoustic town. It's a Willie town. You know,
Yeah.
it's country and blues and stuff like that. I got here in the early '80s and I was like, "Where's all the fucking metalheads?" You know, the first person I met in Austin, Texas, Mike
Who?
Solis. Mike Solis.
What a guy! What a
Yeah,
great guy!
incredible.
Great voice.
So
Oh my
check
God.
this out. The the very recent season, the most recent season of Stranger Things
Right?
has a fucking Nasty Savage flyer in the shot on the wall next to the kid's guitar, the headbanger with the Dio jacket. He goes in his room and he's like, "Yeah, see you later, baby." Petting his guitar. It's hanging on the wall. There's a fucking Nasty. How did that make you feel?
What?
You know, I mean, my kids finally respected me for being in a band because they never really did. I don't think. But as
What?
soon
Is
as-
that my dad's flyer on TV? Yep.
No, it was Stranger Things more than TV or anything.
Oh.
It's just that captivated show that captivates his kids now. And if you made
Right.
it on Stranger Things, man, that was pretty damn good.
Right.
I don't know how that happened. I don't even know how anybody noticed it because it's like a 2-second thing.
I have,
you know,
yeah.
at the bottom of the screen, the album is there too.
Yeah, I have theories. I have theories. You know, a lot of the popular series or TV shows, or just when you just think media or producers and people in charge of, you know, the music departments or the music supervisor on shoots on shows that get signed on by a production company or whatever, they're our age.
Yeah.
Right.
They're our age. And so and if they're a metalhead and they're our age, guess what's going to pop up at any given moment that they're given in the script? They use long hair. He's kind of a heavy metal headbanger guy. Oh, I know exactly what to tell to the prop department now. Get you some fucking Nasty Savage flyers and shit.
Yeah.
And put them up in the kid's room.
We had Ryder and Blaine from Nashville Pussy on the show, and we recently had Mickey Finn from Jet Boy. And in the case of Nashville Pussy, they had a song on that Peacemaker series with John Cena. And then in the case of Mickey Finn, when the Philadelphia Flyers score a goal, the arena starts up with the "Feel the Shake," the song by Jet Boy.
Their hit song,
We had this exact conversation, and Jason's right, and those people, our guest, validated it. They said there's people in positions of power now that grew up on that stuff and love that stuff, and now they're in a position where they have the opportunity to stick a Nasty Savage flyer on the wall on Stranger Things, or to play Jet Boy when the Flyers score a goal, or to put Nashville Pussy in a Peacemaker episode or whatever. So it's funny. It comes around because your fan base who grew up with you in the 80s is now 50-some years old, and some of them are working in positions that allow for that sort of creative license. And, who knows, it might generate a new generation of fans or whatever that never heard of you before.
The coolest...
Well, it was definitely cool. And the props are put in for a reason, and because that's a blank set, someone might be using the same set tomorrow. But I did a movie in LA in 2016. I was actually the creative producer of a movie, Nation's Fire. And we filmed in LA for 25 days in Burbank, up in the mountains at the ranches where they film movies. And we worked with Chuck Liddell was in the movie. Gil Bellows was in Shawshank Redemption. And the main actor was Bruce Dern.
Wow.
He was in the movie, Bruce Dern. I think we paid him like $85,000 for one day's work.
Whoa.
And but it was amazing to work with that guy. And Laura Dern's Academy Award, his daughter, and he's just an unbelievable. He's the guy that killed John Wayne and the Cowboys in front of all those kids. And I was such a villain in the 70s when I saw that movie. He killed John Wayne, and I was going to be working with him. It's like. But yeah, it was a concept movie called Nation's Fire with a chick with brains that had power, and she's a biker chick. And it was a concept that I gave the director, and he wrote the script. And
wow.
I ended up being the creative director because my friend Chris DeGrotto and her husband funded the movie with about $1.6 million. And I was in LA working on a movie set, man. And I'm like, wow. can't believe I'm doing this.
That's
But I
awesome.
did. We dealt with props, and I had the main actors in the show are wearing Born to Ride shirts, man, in the show. So props are very important.
Yeah,
Oh
But,
yeah.
absolutely.
but they were wearing Born to Ride shirts, man. It felt
Well,
nationwide.
I'm not gonna wonder who gave them those shirts at all. I don't
Oh,
have
man,
to.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got great product placement in the movie.
there you go.
I
That's
bet
what they
you
call it.
do.
Yeah.
I bet you.
Things I don't know how that happened. It's got to be a connection with some kind of metal or something, and I'd really like to know more because sometimes when you do that, you almost have to get permission, you know. So I mean, we had to sign off on everything on a prop basis. So I'm honored, and we all are excited big
Yeah.
time about it. But thank God some promoter and Bob over in Chicago saw it, took a still shot, and sent it to us.
Yeah, I
There's
saw
somebody
that.
never would've known.
That's how I know because it went by me. I'm a fan of the show. I'm a big nerd of shit like that, and I love the character because it's like I can fucking relate. You know, this guy's in a shit town and he's a headbanger. He's hanging out with all the nerds and shit. That was me and my friends, man. I get it.
There's got to be more coming.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, more of that character, more of
Yeah.
that room.
Yeah.
Because once you have the room, it kind of stays that way, you know.
Yeah.
They
That's
probably
right.
shot all those scenes already for the season in that room because that's usually how they film a lot of stuff backwards and forwards and sideways and then put it all together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to see, man. It's exciting. There was another little exciting point to the last few months that we've been playing and stuff. It's really been exciting.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I really am glad that you're feeling the love, and it's well deserved, and you're really a special guy. I don't care what Dave said about you earlier.
No, I want to say this. I've never met Ronnie, and I've never talked to Ronnie before, so I wasn't sure what to expect when we lined you up to be on the podcast today. But I know of your reputation, and I know your singing and all that sort of thing. But I gotta say, man, you know, you talked earlier about Nasty Ronnie as the character, and you flipped the switch on and off. I'm sitting here listening to you, and you couldn't be a more genuine, sincere, likable kind of guy. And you're pretty damn smart too. When I listen to you talk about, you know, movie sets and how to market and how to reach out to the editor, and I mean, you got your game plan, man, and I respect that. I respect you even more after this. So I've enjoyed getting to know you a little bit as a human being, and rather than just the persona, which is what everybody's first introduction, most people's first introduction to you would be.
Yeah, and you know, on stage, I try to have fun and make people laugh too, and just, you know, tell them we're all here together as one. Doesn't matter, you know, what color you are, where you're from. It's in the name of metal. Can I testify? And shit like that, you know, because
Yeah.
we're only sharing this moment one time, people. You know,
Yeah.
come on, get on the bus and just let's ride it. Let's ride that bus. And you know, but
Dave,
what
do you
I've done
see?
for 20
Dave, do you see why I'm a fan of this man?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I
because
mean, I get it.
Pastor
Yeah.
McMaster from the Church of Disaster has stolen some Nasty Ronnie shit in his time. So.
Yeah.
testify, brother. Let's testify now. But you know,
I
what I've
get
done
it.
for 27 years, I produced a TV show called Born to Ride, and I just did my 1,345th TV episode.
Wow.
That's totally a commitment, but that's more than Cops, man. Cops doesn't have that many episodes, nor The Simpsons.
Is
you know,
this
so
on cable or is it on what? How do you see
here
it?
in Florida, it's been on Great 38, which is cable and non-cable, satellite and dish. It goes out to about 14 counties and about 2.5 million homes, cable and non-cable, satellite and dish in the Tampa Bay into Orlando, up and down I-75. So 14 counties, you know.
Okay.
But it's on satellite and dish, but it's also now on our YouTube channel, borntoride.com. You go to YouTube, or you could see it on Facebook, Born to Ride
Tell us
TV.
about an episode. How do you play an episode? Was it?
Well,
you have
it's
guests?
the life and times of motorcycles and the people who ride them.
All
So,
right.
and we magnify the greatness. You know, we document the lifestyle in a proper manner, because if we don't do it, who will? You know,
Right.
It's always blood on the asphalt, hooligans on the highway, but we magnify the greatness of bikers, you know,
Yeah.
and it's an easy job. It's an easy
Right.
job. there's so many great things going on and
Well,
travel.
I know that a lot of in this I'm out of my element a little bit, but I what I do know about bike clubs or people who ride together and who are part of the culture and the lifestyle. There's a lot of people that have money. There's a lot of people that don't have money, but they have a bike and they travel and they're in the culture and they go to all the festivals and everything, and they're big supporters. Um, they are very generous to, uh, they'll do benefits. A lot of
All year
bike,
long.
yeah, all year long they do benefits and they raise money, and they raise awareness for probably homeless and children's hospitals, and it's really really a big deal. So knowing that you have such a big heart, I'm sure that that's what the show is. Where you're aiming for the idea.
We do a lot of charity work, and I think if God or whoever God has given me this talent or the means to stay on the air, we better do some good things with it, and kids today can't even talk to adults, and you get around people and the kids are out there and they don't pay attention, they don't talk. My kids grew up in the motorcycle world. We took them to every motorcycle rally, and they learned uh, they learned to give that last dollar out of your pocket to someone who needs it more, or to give the shirt off your back, or to see the respect that people give their parents for our hard work, and then the travel, the adventure, the fun, all that lifestyle or the destination locations and stuff. We've had a great ride with that, and really proud that my kids got to grow up and see a world in a way that where people just like to have fun, but it doesn't matter what you ride, blue collar to white collar, people of color, everybody's riding motorcycles. And that's one thing you have in common with another biker. It's sort of like a metalhead. It's like a parallel. It's passionate and it's fun. And I've enjoyed it, I really do. And I met some of the greatest people doing Born to Ride. And I'm sure bikers down the street or someone in your family, and they're always on the go. They're always happy when they're riding. They're taking trips, and I've been to Sturgis. I've seen America, Laughlin. We go to Las Vegas Bike Fest, and just done it all over the place, man. America's such a beautiful country, guys. So awesome. And you know what? Gotta say, Sonny Barger from the Hells Angels passed away yesterday, a legendary biker, president and founder of the Hells Angels. And Sonny Barger was on Born to Ride TV, and I've interviewed him along with Evel Knievel, Willie Nelson, Steven Tyler, just it goes on and on. All these people who've been on Born to Ride, Charlie Daniels, Bo Diddley. I had a killer interview with Bo Diddley, and we just meet all kinds of people with Born to Ride, man. But it's sort of a double-edged sword. So I don't push heavy metal into the biker thing because it's just not the right demographic for it. So I'm a totally different person that way too.
Well, you know your audience and you're thinking ahead, and strategy is a big part of it. So that makes sense. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's awesome.
And, I wish you further success on that.
Yeah, I mean, being a producer, you got to produce. Being a publisher, you got to publish. I just went to press last night with our 218th Born to Ride magazine, and that's statewide in Florida. And then I do another Born to Ride in the states of Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, North and South Carolina every month. And we drop ship them to all the places, man. And we're always hustling. And we're going to Cave Spring, Georgia this month for a big bike event. And I'm excited about that. It should be fun.
What do you have any other businesses or ventures that you have rolling right now? Is that your main gig?
Yeah. Of course I do.
Well, I know because you're the ringleader. I get it. But what else you got besides Born to Ride?
Well, I've got I started putting booths in antique malls. And I've got like 5 different malls that I have booths in. I think I have 7 or 8 booths in antique malls. So I'm always picking,
Wow.
like American Pickers. I'm out there on Saturday mornings, Friday mornings. I just bought a storage unit today. Had 21 slot machines in it and a bunch of other stuff, man. A ton of stuff. I got it all for $600.
What?
Wow.
I'm telling you what. I said, but I just bought the storage unit and paid the rent on the storage unit now because I wasn't going to move it all that quick because I'm out of space in my other storage. But no, I've always been a collector of all kinds of stuff, and I just love the thrill of going to a garage sale, man. You never know what's going to be there.
Wow.
I've got 1,000 great stories of killer stuff I find and resold, and just it's overtaking, it's overwhelming, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm always going to be active doing something. That's really taking a lot of my time.
Well,
your audio's getting crackly.
Yeah,
on us
your
again.
microphone sounds bad again.
Okay, this is better now. Any better now?
It's about the same. You sound like a robot or something. It's weird.
I wanted to ask Ronnie the traditional Talk Louder podcast question that we like to ask our guests, and that is, do you remember, Ronnie, what got you hooked on rock and roll? Was there a particular album or a concert or a moment where you saw something on TV or somebody's record collection? What was the one moment that's music related that made you go, I want to do this, I want to pursue this?
Wow, man. Probably in fourth grade, West Side Story.
What?
The Jets and the Sharks, man. The gangs, the fighting, like Romeo and Juliet. I didn't realize it was Romeo and Juliet back then, but I love the gang against gang and the dancing and the that Leonard Bernstein shit, and just I used to sing every one of those songs, man. Like when I go to my family thing, they go, Ronnie, do West Side Story, and then Elvis, and then Elvis, really big impact, and Jim Morrison, of course. But I really, my sister had the Beatles album Rubber Soul, and I just remember being a big Beatles fan, and that's kind of stuff. And I still love that type of music. It's the 60s, 70s music, and Rolling Stones, Beatles, Pink Floyd. I really didn't listen to a lot of heavy metal. In high school, believe it or not, I just started getting into Leonard Skinner, the One for the Road, the double live album.
Yeah.
And then Styx was like one of my first concerts. So it's like, I was still drinking milk in high school every day for dinner. It's like, I was just, I don't know. I never really was in, like, all my friends loved Kiss and stuff, but I missed that part. I missed it.
Okay.
So it was more like the impact of probably Elvis and, that West Side Story thing just got me. But then pro wrestling, so it's like, it's just, it's the art of performance, I think.
I feel like with the 90% of our guests who say Kiss Alive was the record that stole their heart, between, West Side Story and wrestling and Elvis, you've got what Kiss did to us. You've got all of that. Yeah. It's the same thing. Alice Cooper's a big West Side Story kind of a guy. He loves vaudeville and drama and horror movies, and that's kind of his whole thing too. So I get that.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that's a first on the Talk Louder podcast.
That's what I was going to say.
I don't think we've ever had a guest that pointed to West Side Story.
You're the only one that's ever mentioned West Side Story, and
I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that because it's real. It really, when I thought about what really impacted me, that was it. I wanted to go see the movie because we watched it in school for the first time. It was like a special day. We got to watch a movie. And I went home and told my mom about it. And it happened to be coming on TV, and I loved it. I've always loved that show.
Wow. Would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
That musical is unbelievable. And then the storyline is just, it was just something that impacted me at 4th grade. And I think that was it, probably.
Wow.
That's awesome. Let me ask one more real quick question,
course.
and this is out of necessity because you talked earlier about you just did a handful of shows. So Nasty Savage is still active in some capacity. Is there any chance that we'll get a new album out of you?
Well, yeah, that's we've got the music, and that's maybe Jason could help me with this either off this show or later on or right now. Is what should we do? You know, we need to get, like, is it a band camp? Is it not GoFundMe? You know, how do we get people to step up and help us do this?
You're asking a great question. If you feel like you want to sort of self-release, so there's no middleman, because we all know where that gets you. And you don't really get any money kicked back anymore.
Right.
You know.
But we have these labels who they all said, "Hell yeah, get us some stuff, get us
Sure.
But even to go into the studio and do it's gonna, you know, we're looking at $1,000, $1,500, whatever. So, but we could also record our whole album and deliver it too,
Right.
or just do it ourselves. So we just don't know what to do. But I'm telling you what, we have some new songs that are unbelievable, and I can't wait to write to them.
Yeah.
You know, because I've got these killer titles. One of them's called Aztec Elegance. And it's something. I love that movie,
Wow.
Apocalypto.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh my God, I love that. And I was going to
so
call it
fucking heavy.
Apocalypto. But no, that's somebody we call it. I go, no. I'm going to change it to Aztec Elegance, because I always wanted to write about the Aztecs. And, you know, in that movie, the guys are going up the steps and they're painted blue, indigo blue. And then they see the guys on the wall painted indigo blue getting their hearts ripped out. At that moment, they understood that they were going up there something bad was going to happen. You know, and I was infatuated with the Aztecs and you know, the whole deal with that. And I always wanted to write about the sun gods and the blood and all that. So I wrote
sounds like you are about to.
Yeah, I already wrote the song. So I have the music, the lyrics. And we have the song. We actually recorded, but I think we're going to re-record that. We have an instrumental called The Sixth Finger. So that's badass. They played that before the show. Yeah, The Sixth Finger. And I collect toys, and there's actually a toy called The Sixth Finger, and I got a picture of it. I sent it to David. I said, Dave, look what I found.
Whoa.
The Sixth Finger.
So there's new music well underway. It's just a matter of finding the right way to release it to the fans.
Yeah, and we all have our own lives and jobs and business stuff, and getting together to do it, it takes a commitment, and everybody's ready. Matter of fact, when we get back from Mexico, we're going to have a barbecue here at my house, and we're going to actually talk to everybody, the guys, about it, because it's really me and Dave. But the other guys, I don't want to say they're hired guns, but we want them to be more. And that's what we want to kind of tell them. We want to really structure something, guys, and, you know, is everybody in?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I know your fans will be looking forward to that. It's been a while since we've, heard anything from you, and I know COVID probably threw a big wrench in the gear, but I was happy to hear that you recently did some gigs, and someone like yourself, I'm imagining, is always writing, so it just begged the question, when can we expect another Nasty Savage release? So in the works, and stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, well, you know, I think when you're writing for a purpose, you're singing songs to please yourself. That's how you want to do it, the music, with lyrics, whatever. But if there's a purpose, like, okay, we have a time frame that we want to do, or, you know, we have something we're doing this for, all of a sudden you become more productive and more, more aware of what you have to deliver. And like when we did Psycho, that was the first album we all wrote and didn't practice together at all until we got in the studio and did our tracks. Because Dave lived in the Carolinas, and they did a couple of little jam sessions, but it was mostly everybody doing it on their own. That was in 2005. And it was just different. But I remember writing, all the, a lot of stuff. And I'd get the songs and just listen. I go, okay, that song is going to be this title. You know, I always have all these titles written on a piece of paper, like 100, and I'd narrow them down to 20 and 10, 5, whatever. But then I'd match them with the song, how I felt the song.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting when you really have a challenge to get it done, and you know you're on a time frame where you got to do it. So I'm really hoping that we can figure this out. You know, Chris Jericho was on our Wage of Mayhem album we did, and he was on he was on Psycho Psycho.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day, you know, Chris Jericho has a friend of ours, Ed Aborn, who's in Siren, and he goes, I want to meet Nasty Ronnie. So I go, okay. And this was back in, you know, the early 90s or so, or late, I don't know when it was, but it was probably before that. Anyway, I go, Chris Jericho, oh my God, I love him. So we go to dinner, we meet at an Outback, and he's like, hi, Bill, we're talking bullshit. He goes, I go, yeah, our bass player, Dezo. He goes, no, it's Dezo Itzavon Bartha III. You know, he is a real Nasty Savage fan. He said, man, I used to play volleyball in Canada and listen to Nasty Savage. So, you know, it's really cool. I got to meet him. He's a big Savage fan. And I'm trying to reach out to him now because he was on our album. We did some stuff together. See if he could kind of give us some guiding light. I really respect him so much. I mean, he's such a great guy and so smart. So, you know, I'm hoping maybe he could give us some direction as well. But if not, I talked to Dan Johnson, who did Sabotage and so many other bands. We've been talking to some people, so hopefully something will happen.
I know that it will. You're the man. You know how to use your resources, and you've made an impact with a lot of people. And it's interesting, Chris Jericho, he's in the wrestling games, in the heavy metal game, and he knows everybody. He's got radio and talk shows and blah, blah, blah. Guys just all over the place. I see a lot of him in you. I see a lot of you in him. So that's an interesting connection that I never put together.
Yeah, I didn't put that together either, but
he's an unbelievable person and a performer and everything else he does. So,
he knows a lot about metal and just hard rock. He really does.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant. Yeah. And, you know, you want to be around people. You want to be around eagles. Fly with eagles, man, so you don't have to deal with turkeys. You know, don't waste time with people who bring you down with drama or negativity. Just fly with the eagles, brother.
You got that
fly
right.
with the eagles.
There you go. There
That's
you go.
right.
Words of wisdom from Nasty Ronnie today.
Yeah, thank you, Ronnie, for being here today. Thank you
and
very
Jason's
much.
a mighty eagle, brother. I love you, brother. I really appreciate the time today.
Ronnie, thanks so much for joining us, man. It was a pleasure talking to you and a pleasure to get to meet you and know you a little bit. And we wish you continued success in all your endeavors because you got your hands in a lot of buckets, and happy to see you doing so well and enjoying it all and having some success with it all. So thank you for joining us. On behalf of my co-host Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave. Special thanks to our guest today on the Talk Louder podcast, Nasty Ronnie from Nasty Savage.